So today we're going to be talking about heists in Dungeons and Dragons. Heists, right? The thing we see in all the movies. Right now, what we're really going to be doing is looking at 5 major things you should be doing in any of your heists. And they're really important too. The first thing you have to do when dealing with heists in Dungeons and Dragons is basically give all your players a chance to shine. The thing is, in a heist, it's really easy for the rogue and the druid especially to shine. Even sorcerers and wizards can do the same kind of deal. However, your barbarians and your fighters, they have something to do too. When the portcullis comes collapsing down, their strength checks make a difference. There's always something that any of your players can be doing when it comes to a heist. Make sure that you have those challenges and those skill challenges or those saving throw checks that make everyone feel special, not just the rogue. It's easy to make the rogue and the druid feel good. Trust me on that one. The second thing you should be doing when it comes to heists in Dungeons & Dragons is making sure they can pull off the perfect plan. If your players actually do the job of planning correctly and going through and making sure all their I's and T's are dotted, let the plan go off. I know sometimes tension is one of those things where you need things to go wrong, but at the same time, if they pull off the perfect plan, if they make all the checks and they decide all the right things and go down the right paths, allow them to be successful. Allow them to have that win, because sometimes having that win feels so good. Let your players have it. Sometimes it's perfect. The third thing you should do when it comes to heists and Dungeons & Dragons is reward high skill checks. Meaning, if you have players that have put a lot of points into skills and they roll incredibly well, give them extra information. Now, I'll talk about the don'ts, like hiding information behind skill checks, but when someone has an amazing roll, give them something extra. Give them a bit of information that they wouldn't have been able to find otherwise. That feels amazing when they get a 1-up. When they get that one extra little leg up on the thing just because they rolled well and they also had addition bonuses. Also, reward those nat 20s when it comes to skill check. In a heist, you're going to roll a lot of skills because you're not doing as much combat. So when someone gets a nat 20, if we don't reward it somehow, it kind of takes away from the feeling. So reward those high skills, those nat 20s with a critical success. Give your players something to be excited about when it comes to skill checks, and you'll be amazed at watching those dice. It's no longer about succeeding. It's, did I get a 20? Did I get a natural 1? And if they get a natural 1, maybe you should give them a bit of wrong information. On a heist, that can be a whole lot of fun. It doesn't hinder the success, and it makes things more interesting. Food for thought, not something you should do, but something that I would consider. The fourth thing you need to do when dealing with heists on Dungeons & Dragons is make sure that when you're doing the heist, combat encounters don't alert everyone. Listen, you want combat counters to be fun during a heist. You want them to be something that's there, but at the same time, you also really want to make sure that they can have that combat encounter and it doesn't mess with their entire heist. Now, if the players don't care if people hear them and they just do things loudly, yeah, sure, reward that as well. But if they're trying to be quiet and they're trying to be sneaky and someone comes up and they subdue them before they get away, yeah, some noise happened down the hallway. Maybe they have some illusion magic. Maybe there's something they can do. The bottom line is, at least allow the players the success of having a combat encounter and not ruining the entire heist. Think about the movies where the players catch someone by surprise and then have to take them down. Happens in movies all the time. Allow it for your players as well. It makes it a lot more fun if they know they can do combat without alerting the whole dungeon. The final thing when doing a heist in Dungeons & Dragons is to make sure that you have some level of success. I mean that the heist isn't just a stolen or not stolen. Maybe it's a stolen, but they figure out who you are. Maybe it's a you barely escape and had to kill some people, so now the guard's after you and you have to leave town. Remember, success doesn't just mean I got to the magic item or I got the thing and escaped. There's a variety of levels of success. So when you're designing a heist for Dungeons & Dragons, think about those 5 things. They're 5 big tips. There's something that we don't always think about when dealing with a heist. There's lots of things you have to do when coming up with a heist, especially in a fantasy game. When magic comes into play, you've got to be creative. But in the end, those are the 5 things you can do to help with heists. I hope you guys found it. I hope you guys like it, and we'll see you next time.